Okay, hello everyone. So let's devote our today's video to factory planning part. Finally, the final step of the planning major cycle, which we consider in scope of PLN training. As we discussed in the very beginning, there is also a standalone leaf planning cycle. There is also financial cycle, which is a separate process. But in scope of the incidents, in scope of this PLN training, we only work with factory planning as the last step. So let's begin. And we'll start with a brief overview of the process, and then a separate video will be for the master data. So let's talk about the process overview, about the process steps. So first of all, factory planning, as well as previous step, supply planning, starts with data cleaning. So we need to check if we have any documents, transactional documents for previous months, detect them and delete them manually. So we will later check the T code of what is planning board, but generally speaking, planning board is just table, a schedule of production of our products. So for example, if you saw Microsoft project, I don't know, some plans in Microsoft project, then it looks almost the same. So factory planners are checking planning board and they need to either move forward or remove all open production and purchase orders in the past. Also, they need to update delivery dates, of course, if they are moving some past document from previous months to the current months or to the next month. They need to update the delivery dates, delete some old unconsumed forecasts from the previous cycle. So just do the data cleaning. Then they need to perform the data submission. So the report regarding the production volume for the previous months and the inventory stock on hand report for the previous month should be prepared and submitted by business side for statistics. Then comes the main step, production planning and detailed scheduling. Actually, for us, for GSD, factory planning is the synonym of production planning and detailed scheduling, because that's the period when all the main actions happen. So results from supply planning are pushed from IBP to S4 to SAP for every factory separately. And we have a plan for production for every factory. So then we need to plan finished goods production. Then we need to plan semi-finished goods afterwards. So it's like a second priority. Of course, to receive finished goods like finished cases and packs of cigarettes or anything, we need first to produce semi-finished goods like cigarettes themselves or packs of cigarettes and so on. So first we need to plan how many cases do we need to produce. Then we plan all the semi-finished goods which are contained in those cases. yeah, so once the finished good level plan is released, factories proceed with planning for semi-finished goods. And then, so first you need to plan how many cases you need to have in the end. Then you plan how many cigarettes and packs do you need to produce to um, fulfill those cases. And then you need to plan all the requirements for non-tobacco materials like papers, filters, um, packages, and so on, and raw tobacco. So again, the planning goes from the high-level picture, from overview, to the most specific. So finally, all our planning process came from like the overall demand for the whole country to particular demand of particular paper filters for a separate factory. So that's how it goes. Um, we just make it more and more detailed all along the way. So yeah, the finished goods are first planned on 13th to 15th workday of the month, and semi-finished goods are planned just after that from 15th to 17th workday of the month. Okay, so what do we have on this slide? Yeah, we have, we should know just for your interest that a year ago, all the information regarding planning process in SAP was stored in a separate system called APP. I guess I already mentioned that. So in our list of systems, it was on the third number, and BWP system was number 4, and so on. So all the systems were shifted one line upper after APP system became decommissioned. Um, so all the information was stored separately, and there was data synchronization between P40 and APP. So some daily or hourly jobs were running in the system to transfer the data between those systems. Now all of the data is in P40, so this is much more convenient. And the data is also in IBP as well. Yeah, so production planning and detailed scheduling allows us to plan production process at a very detailed level. And we consider our scheduling, capacities, various resources. Users can create planned orders for in-house production. So what does it mean? If we decide, like if we have a requirement that we need to produce some finished goods, first we need to create a planned order in the system. It is the same process as when we want to purchase something, we create purchase requisition. So it just means that we want to purchase something and we need to collect approvals. After we have approvals, purchase requisition is converted to purchase order. So that's a quite similar process. We have a planned order that we are planning to produce something. And after we make sure all the details, we can convert planned order to production order for in-house production. In-house means that like we are planning, we are making a plan for a factory, and on this factory we are planning to produce some goods. Then we need to optimize the results, and try to plan the various variants, so simulate some scenarios and come up with the most optimum plan for production and purchasing. So how does the system look? Well, yeah, the data is included in S4, so P40, Q40, and D41. But the data is still transferring inside the system because the PPDS, production planning and detailed scheduling data set is like a small separate system inside the system. So the data is in P40, but there is still some simplified data synchronization, and those packages of data which are flowing between regular S4 and PPDS are called CIF, core interface. So those are just like packages of data, like when you are having troubles with internet access, you can check how many packages were sent outside, let's say, and how many packages were downloaded from the outside. So this constant data flow, double-sided, is called CIF. Yeah. So that's okay. That's not now. That's the past, and that's the current situation. So I will fix that. Yeah, then we have the process overview. It looks quite complicated, but actually, what do we need to know here? We need to know that the input, the demands are coming from supply module when supply planners finish their job and push the data to S4 from IBP. Then in PDS, we have different master data, like um, we have such data as inventory, so we know how many material we have on stock. We have machines maintained. We have delivery dates, maybe coming from previous months when we update them to upcoming month. Um, then we have material master data and so on. So what do? We need to plan for a short period of time. It is a 3 months, the most detailed planning period. Then we have a short-term period of time from 3 to 6 months, midterm from 6 to 12 months, and the long-term planning from 12 to 8 months. So for example, we already can have some material requirements for production in SAP for like next summer, but they are very, very approximate and can be subjected to a lot of changes afterwards. So they can change a lot of times. It's just the abstract approximate plan. And we also have such information stored in SAP as warehouse capacity, so how many material can be stored in the warehouse. We have lead time, which is the time, which is time that's required for material to be physically moved somewhere. So if we need to transfer some stock from one warehouse to another, so they can be 2 kilometers away, and then lead time will be half a day, for example, or they can be like 1,000 kilometers away from each other, and then lead time can be up to like several days. Depends on how much time it usually takes for a truck to drive from one point to another and do the like pickup and loading activities. Yeah, so we have means of transport maintained, delivery schedule, lot size, and so on. So what is a lot size? For example, we have a case of cigarettes, but nobody will actually sell a case of cigarettes or transport the case of cigarettes from one warehouse to another. It's just a too small portion, right? Too small amount. So like for every product, for every finished goods, we have a lot size maintained in the system, and it means the like the minimal amount of material that can be transported or sold to our customers and so on. So for example, like that much of material fits into one truck. So just as an example. Yeah. And finally, when all the plan and all the documents are prepared and we have our information about stocks and so on, we provide this data further for Leaf tactical planning, but that's not really our business. So for us, for GSD, the process ends here. So Leaf cycle is not in our scope. Yeah, so also you can see which data is integrated with IBP. So basically, we have capacity parameters coming from factories, like data on machines, resources, the schedule or equipment hours. So for example, some equipment can operate 24 hours a day, but once a day it needs like 1 or 2 hours for maintenance or for checkup. So actually this equipment operates only 22 hours a day, and 2 hours are required for daily maintenance, which is done by some technician, right? So that's what's called equipment hours. And we also have machine performance. So that means like its capacity, its ability to provide the result, like how many packs do we receive for every hour, and so on. So then we have transactional data synchronized with IBP. It's stock on hand. Well, in SAP, you can just check the stock for every product on every plant using the specific T code. And in IBP, you can check this data running the template for capacity and checking the key figure, which is called stock on hand. So it should be actually the same information in SAP and in IBP. It's just in SAP, we check it in T code, and in IBP, we can check it in template as a key figure. Then we have open orders, for example, unused production orders, some old purchase orders, purchase requisitions, which were not used for some reason, and so on. Then we have stock in transit. It means that some material can be between locations, right? So, for example, the material is traveling from one warehouse to another warehouse, and they have a big distance between each other. So there is no stock on departure plant already, but there is no stock on arrival plant yet, right? So the stock is somewhere in between. It is in the truck. So that's what's called stock in transit. This indicator is always changing because some stock is arriving to the like to the final plant B. Some stock is always taken from the plant A, and so on. So material groups which are in scope are finished goods, semi-finished goods, non-tobacco materials, and leaf, raw tobacco. But leaf is mostly plays a role in a separate leaf cycle. And then we have our regular master data like units of measure, like kilograms, cases, pallets, kilo units, anything. Lot size, we just discovered. Then inventory target or coverage, not completely sure about that. So sorry. Yeah, waste rate, it means that, for example, in order to receive 1 kilo unit of cigarettes, we need to use like 2 meters of paper filters, like 1 kilogram of raw tobacco, and so on. But during the manufacturing process, there is, of course, some waste, it's called scrap. So every production process has its waste rate. So how much of initial components go to waste and should be utilized. Yeah, then we have material groups, conversion indicators, and etc. So all this data, it initially presents in SAP, but is also synchronized with IBP all the time. And that's also a high level of PPDS process flow. So first, the PPDS parameters should be set up. Make sure that the required data like products, production data structure, profiles, and so on are ready. Then we receive the input from IBP, from supply module, and we receive it in the form of forecasts and purchase requisitions. They just literally appear in SAP. I will show it to you later. Then we run production planning infinitely without consideration of resource constraints. So again, we run the heuristics, and the first script run does not take any real constraints into account. So it just like plans really like sketchy, not in a very detailed way. And that's our first planning run. Then we again run optimizer or maybe we can we can run optimizer, or we can move the orders and purchase requisitions manually in time to obtain the best results possible and consider some resource constraints. Yeah, so you can do it manually or in the background by using the automated scripts. Then we need to check what we got. Also, we can do some final manual adjustments, and then we convert all the purchase requisitions to purchase orders, all the planned orders to production orders. So we just fix it in the system. So of course we can like delete the document, reverse it, and so on. But when the documents are converted to final forms, production orders and purchase orders, it means that we already reviewed all the schedule and we are confirming the process. Yeah. So finally, in the next video, we will talk about material master data or product master data. But I would like to mention this list of all types of master data that we have in planning process in SAP. Of course, from P2P and other logistics process, you know the difference between master data and transactional data. So master data is what stays in the system for quite a long time, like materials, plants, I don't know, not locations, but vendors, so suppliers, customers, purchase info records. It is all considered a master data. It can be changed anytime, but like it is meant to be used for a long period of time. And transactional data is like a separate document, like purchase order, production order, purchase requisition, uh, stock transfer documents like GR, invoice. All of it is a transaction data. So these are documents that are only required once. And like once they are completed and like implemented in real life, they are no longer needed except for reporting purposes. So for retrospective. So the master data for planning, again, first of all, it is material master data or a product master data. So what I want to show to you right now, and this point is really, really important. So please be careful with that, that all the master data in SAP S4 has its counterpart in PPDS. So that may sound weird, but for example, let's go to our standard T code we all know, MM03. So that's a T code for material master data, right? So you provide the material name. For example, I have some SKR, well, cigarette actually. So what I do, I press enter, then I get the MRP1 tab, for example, I want to display because it's related to planning. Then I need to select a plant. So for example, PLP2, right? Also, I can leave it empty, just press on the advanced search. And I see that this material is only maintained for 3 plants, CH03, 04, and PLP2. So I am curious about PLP2 master data, so I choose it, press OK. And then I see the material master data for plant PLP2 for the tab MRP1 related to production, right? But this data is important for planning, but that's not actually the data which is used by planning documents. The data which is used for planning documents is stored in another T code, which is /SAP APO /MAT1. All the transaction codes which are related to planning start with a prefix /SAP APO /. Yes, that's inconvenient. So I really advise to have the bookmarks for all the planning T codes. Let me show how it looks for me. Example, I have T codes for all the processes I support, except for TM, because TM is in the separate system. And I have a PLN group, and you see that almost all T codes which we use in PLN start from /SAP APO /. After the in the end of this training, I will share the file with bookmarks, and I will probably share the list of T codes which we need the most. So don't worry about that as for now. Just wanted to show you that almost all PLN T codes start with SAP APO. Yeah, and in case you are not launching it from the favorites, but in case you need to launch it from scratch, unfortunately, you need to type /n like if you were already in another T code, but you are not. You are in the SAP landing page, but you still need to type /n/SAP/APO/MAT1. So that's how it can be opened. That is inconvenient and looks pretty dumb, but that's how the process is. I'm sorry for that. Yes, and here we have the same material, the same plant, but it is called in another way. So um, yeah, here you need to understand that there is actually the same data, which is called differently. So the material, uh, we call it material for P2P, O2C, but for PLN, it is called product. We call it plant for P2P, O2C, and other processes, but for PLN, it's called location. So that's actually plant and that's actually material. And in some incidents, you can see like location. In some incidents, you can see plant, or you can see product or material. Well, that depends on the person, but you as analyst, uh, you don't want to be confused. So you need to know that product is the same as material and location is the same as plant. So you click display, and what you see here is also are also tabs of data like properties, material group, shelf life, but there is a much smaller amount of data actually than which we have in MM03. So MM03 contains like the whole information about material, like all information which is possible in SAP. And T-code MAT1 contains only part of this information, which is important for planning process. So the information which is important for planning process is transferred from MM03 to MAT1. That's how it is. We almost never need to go to T-code MAT1. We check all the information in MM03 because it is automatically synchronized. And also, um, previously, when there was a separate system APP, we could change some data in APP in MAT1, and it would be synchronized back to MM03. But now it doesn't work this way. So the data is only transferred one way from MM03, from S4 to MAT1 PPDS. So initially, all the data is maintained in MM03, and that's where we need to check it. But you just need to know that it can be also found here, and you can see those units of measures, those like additional alternative units, classification, packaging data, all of it, it's transferred from MM03. And my point here is that there is a counterpart for all master data type between S4 and PPDS. So we will cover it in the further trainings, training videos. But in S4 we have work center, and in PPDS it is a resource. Then okay, bill of material, routing, and production version, they are only one. Like there is no duplication of data for these parts. But purchasing info record, for planning, it's called transportation lane, and plant is called location. But that's actually, I guess that's all the types of master data which present in S4, which present in P40. So we will cover all of those types separately. And in the next video, we will start with material master data, discussing all the tabs and values which are important. Yeah, so with the implementation of embedded PPDS, master data is done in one system, which is S4. So yeah, that's all for now. Thank you for watching and goodbye.